Hello everyone. As promised, I said if y'all had enough questions for me today, then I'd be doing a Q&A. Well, you did. So without any delays, let's get right into it. Our first batch of questions comes from a good friend of mine that used to go to high school with me. But he decided he wanted to be mentioned by his YouTube name, Hex Joes. And he says, "Thoughts on Batman Forever?" Well, Hex Joes, the way I think about Batman Forever is this way. The fact that Tim Burton was fired after going too dark with Batman Returns, I was kind of worried going in to watch this one because I really I really liked his style, his visual flair. But for what it was, I thought Batman Forever was great. I actually think it's one of the best Batman movies in my opinion. I thought Jim Carrey was perfectly cast as the Joker. You can say whatever people can say whatever they want about Tommy Lee Jones. I thought he was awesome as Two-Face. And even though I like Dark Knight better, even though I thought I had a better Two-Face, the portrayal they did here in this movie, I thought it was great. So yeah, I like Batman Forever. As far as I would rank it, this is putting all the Batman films in perspective, the originals and the Nolan trilogy. Batman Begins is my favorite, then Dark Knight, then Batman Returns. So Batman Forever, I guess, would come in at number 4 out of the 5 films that I consider to be the best. Which, in case you're wondering, all 5 best. Dark Knight Rises would come in at number 5. Those are the 5 Batman films I consider to be the best. So yeah, Batman Forever. I love that movie. All right, now your next question. Thoughts on both Alice in Wonderland films from Disney, the live action ones? Yeah, pretty interesting history with that one. I love the first one. I like how it went for a different story where it's kind of, I guess you could say it's a twist that that Alice had already been to Wonderland before, but she just forgotten. So it's kind of like a sequel boot instead of an actual reboot or remake. But yeah, I thought it was great. I love Johnny Depp as the Mad Hatter. It's one of my favorite roles from him, alongside Edward Scissorhands and the character that he played in Corpse Bride. Ironically, both Tim Burton films as well. So a lot of Tim Burton talk already. But then Alice Through the Looking Glass. I believe that one had a different director. I haven't seen that in years, or I guess since it's only been 4 years, at least like a couple years or so. But I remember liking it just fine, I guess. But it's not bad. All right, so those are your questions. All right, these next batch of questions come from another good friend, Carson Simpson. How did you come up with your YouTube name? Good question. Uh, During Christmas, when my sister and my brothers were all came down to visit us for Christmas, we were talking about my reviews and stuff, and how great they were all thinking they were and stuff. And then that's when they came up with the idea for me to do a YouTube channel. And then we were throwing out names and stuff, and then just long story short, we came up with the name Whiplash the Autist. All right. Now, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Well, 5 years. Well, this is already my last year in high school, so I imagine I already have a job. Probably be an apartment, simple stuff like that. I don't know. Anything could happen in 5 years, Carson. Sorry to give it a vague answer, but yeah. All right, your last question from you is: do I want to make my own film, and if so, what would it be about? Funny you should ask that. My brother and I talked about the fact that I think I would make a good filmmaker, and we talked about a little bit of thing for a while where back in the '60s or the the 1950s, I think anyway, I don't know if he was in the 1900s at all, but way back in the day there was y'all know the story War of the Worlds. Well, Orson Welles did this radio podcast, and he made it look so realistic that like it was actually happening out in the world somewhere, caused this huge panic. But then, of course, people found out, all right, it's not really happening. But Chris, Chris, Chris had thought of the idea that maybe we can make a film about the perspectives of some people, like thinking, oh my God, aliens are here, and we gotta stock up on guns and food and stuff, but give it a more comedic edge, well, a bit of seriousness, I guess. But yeah, that's a kind of film I'd like to make because I really like the story of War of the Worlds, so I guess that's a film I would make. And I'd love to have 20th Century Fox back us, but oh yeah! Thanks a lot, Disney. 20th Century Studios. Oh, that hurts. Still not gonna get used to that. But all childhood movie studios being dead aside, yeah, that's the last question from Carson Simpson. These next ones come from my sister Sarah. Thanks a lot, Sarah. What is your favorite horror movie, comedy, romance, action film, and documentary? Well, I'll give you a treat and answer every one of those for you. My favorite horror movie. Some of you who know me best probably think this is an obvious answer, but bam! Halloween. I pull out my whole collection, but yeah, the first one, the original, is my favorite horror film. I don't want to get into too much detail because I plan to review these horror films, to review all these movies during the late summer to build up for the next one that's coming out this October. But yeah, I love the first Halloween. It's scary. It treats its audience like thinking people. I could go into a whole tirade about how much I love the Halloween franchise, despite some of the movies being bad. But yeah, that's my favorite horror movie. Favorite comedy. I don't have these on DVD, but my favorite comedy, I know it's more than one movie, but the Austin Powers trilogy. I love those movies. They're so funny. I actually really care about the characters. And Mike Myers, I think he's at his best in these movies. Let's just forget that he did Cat in the Hat for a second, and yeah. But those movies came out at a time when he was rolling the fucking world. And yeah, Austin Powers, love them. Hope they make a fourth one. I really think that there's room to make more, to add more to the story. Even if it means that this would have to be like the last film, but still, I'd love to see an Austin Powers movie in the theater. Yeah. Favorite romance. Romance. Favorite romance. Do I even have that? Well, it kind of coincides with Disney, but my favorite romance is from The Little Mermaid. I've only seen that film recently, and I have fallen in love with that movie. It's the one when I was going on a Disney binge back when the Lion King remake was coming out. I hadn't even seen The Little Mermaid yet. I mean, I've obviously I've known what it was, but I've never seen it before, at least at that point. So when I watched it, didn't even know what I was in for. I didn't know what the plot was. I mean, I've heard some of the songs, but it was, on videos on YouTube out of context. So didn't know what it would be about. And, yeah, it was the biggest wild card for me. And I'm telling this to a lot of people, but it feels like an understatement to say that I loved it. That's why I'm so excited for this remake, the live action remake they're coming out with. Sorry to be a bit vague with all the details why I love this film, but it's another film that I plan to review down the road because, spoiler alert, the Little Mermaid remake is actually my most anticipated movie for the next couple years. So, yeah, I guess you could say that's my favorite romance. And on the side, one of my at least top 5 favorite Disney movies. So, alright, favorite action movie. Favorite action movie. There's so many movies from other genres that could go into this category, but oh jeez, that is an excellent question. Choose wisely, because this is your definitive answer. Logan. I love Logan. If you don't know what that is, it's the final chapter for the X-Men films. It was the last film that Hugh Jackman played the role of Wolverine in. I mean, I know, Sarah, that you know what that is, but for everyone else watching, if you like X-Men and you haven't seen Logan yet, go watch Logan. It has some wonderful action, and even though it's bloody and has a lot of language in it, the heart of the film is the story about how it's about family, the importance of family, taking advantage of each day that you have with them and stuff. It's touching, and I loved it. Cried when I saw it in the theater. And yeah. Hugh Jackman, we miss you. Please come back to play Wolverine in the MCU. We'll make it worth it for you. Alright, favorite documentary. It's pretty interesting in that I don't necessarily watch documentaries on a regular basis, but I've seen a few documentaries, and I guess it's this one thing that James Cameron did in 2017. It was Titanic 20 years later, where talking about the making of his movie. Y'all know the movie. But came out, because at that point it was 2017. It came out in 1997, so it was a documentary called Titanic 20 years later, and I really like how he went back to even see if all the stuff he did with how he did the sinking and how he portrayed stuff was even accurate, like if the ship had even broken in half the way he showed in the movie. Love that shit. So yeah, Titanic 20 years later by James Cameron. I guess you could say that's a favorite documentary of mine. Oh, and Ghost of the Abyss. I know that's again Titanic and James Cameron, but that's another one that I love. Yeah, as you can tell, I'm a bit of a Titanic buff. I'm interested in everything Titanic. Even in the movie Titanic 2, I like that a lot. Alright, those are all the questions from my sister. Now, ironically, questions from her mother. Thanks a lot. What's your biggest fear? I'll keep this short, but spiders, heights, and death. Simple as that. Those are my fears. Who is your celebrity crush? Ooh, I love this one. Again, going back to Titanic, but Kate Winslet, who, she played Rose. Yeah, she was my celebrity crush, because she was my first celebrity crush, yeah. And, yeah, it's probably because I grew up with Titanic, and I don't want to spoil my status on the movie, but, I like it, but I don't want to spoil how much. So yeah, Kate Winslet is my celebrity crush. If you could travel anywhere, where would you go? Well, I guess I'd go to Fiji. That's where they're filming a lot of Survivor lately, so yeah, I guess I'd go to Fiji. Favorite school subject? I liked art and ceramics because they're really peaceful and kind of mostly stress-free. So yeah, I like those. And what goal do I hope to accomplish in 1 to 5 to 10 years? Kind of goes back to a question that was asked earlier, but I guess another thing I'd say I want to do is I want to be on Survivor. That's my dream. Alright, so those are all the questions that we had today, so I guess I'll try to make this a monthly thing, so see y'all, take care.